Story 1. I have a keychain that says, "Have the day you deserve," which is a subtle and classy way to wish that a rude person steps on a Lego. Story 2. Our neighbor called my sister a brat, and she said, "You do a lot of talking for someone without a front tooth." Story 3. My mom once told my paternal grandmother, after my grandmother had been subtly and not so subtly criticizing my mom all night during a holiday dinner, that we were finishing the meal and we kids were admiring the lovely lace tablecloth. We were not used to something this fancy. We were used to the plastic everyday tablecloths. My mom had set a gorgeous table for the holidays. My grandmother touched the edges of the stunning lacework and murmured, "It's not to my taste." At this point, my mom had been far too gracious to my grandmother all evening. Even we kids were tired of my grandmother's barbs. My mom finally said something. She replied quite casually, "I find that hard to believe, as all your taste is in your mouth." I was about 11 then. I jumped up from the table to run into another room to laugh. My grandmother was so stunned. She looked at my dad to defend her. He stayed out of it all night. Dad just looked at my grandmother and said, "You had that coming." Story 4. I don't know if this counts because it wasn't a direct insult, although it was definitely meant as one. My stuck-up aunt, who was about 40 at the time, was bragging about her weight in kilograms, and she has always had a problem with getting older. She said, "Well, I'm just above 50, almost at my goal." I simply asked, "Are you talking about kilograms or years?" She got very mad. Story 5. Did your parents have any children that lived? You would make an even uglier person. And the classic, "If I had a dog with a face like yours, I would shave its rear end and teach it to walk backward." Story 6. If they can make penicillin out of moldy bread, they can surely make something of you. Muhammad Ali. Story 7. Did your parents meet at a family reunion? Intelligence chases you, but you are too fast. Your mother should have spat you on the wall. Pulls both front pockets inside out. Kiss the bunny between his ears. The amount of friends you do not have is everyone. I can smell your sister on your breath. I have more. Story 8. I am an old generation Zer. I was born in 1966. A millennial coworker responded to me, "Okay, boomer." I responded with, "Okay, renter." He had nothing. Fatal wound. Story 9. The perfect response to when someone makes an announcement as if it is the most important thing in the world, when in reality it is anything but. I will alert the media. Story 10. Big wee-wah loser baby. Trust me, it looks silly, but 75% of the time those are somehow fighting words. Story 11. Once a friend parked his car very far in the parking lot one time, and it took us forever to find it. I asked, "Why did you park it so far?" He responded, "Why did I park my hairline so far?" He knows I am insecure about my hair loss. I still think about that today. It was like 8 years ago. Story 12. There are approximately 1,010,300 words in the English language, but I could never string enough words together to properly express how much I want to hit you with a chair. Story 13. Let me just check in my trunk if I have any cares left to give. It is pretty basic, but I still loved witnessing it. Story 14. That's interesting. For things that genuinely make me interested for reasons like how something so simple has come this far. That's incredible. For similar reasons to the above. And things I don't find credible. I see your point. It doesn't mean I agree with it. You have a valid opinion, but I prefer the correct one. I learn a lot from you. For people who teach me how to deal with challenging individuals. For being one of those individuals, just to be clear. Story 15. Tim Gunn saying something was the antithesis of joy. I use this now for politicians, bosses, and exes. Story 16. You would. Seriously, add it to anything. I finally broke down and voted for Trump. You would. Story 17. A personal favorite is, congratulations, you failed. Did your brain cells go on holiday? Or do they just not like you? And the greatest one of all? Drink some water. Hear me out. Drink some water is the funniest gaslighting saying once someone figures it out. Because it's supposed to mean for them to calm down if they're upset. So while they're raging and you continuously tell them they need water, it gets them so frustrated. And it's even funnier when you actually give them a glass of water. They don't even know what to do with themselves. Story 18. A few more. You are proof that millions of years of evolution have been wasted. I will try being nicer if you try being smarter. For out of 5 voices in my head do not like you. Story 19. And you must be the fat gasbag who has been stinking out the town with your rancid beefy waffles. The ninja from my ninja. Yes, this is the origin of my Reddit name. Story 20. The Scotsman's insult from Samurai Jack that goes on for about 30 seconds straight, and not a single actual curse word is said. Story 21. 3 funny ones. 1. I envy everyone who hasn't met you. Your existence proves that intelligent design doesn't exist. The only time you look handsome is when I close my eyes. Story 22. That's lovely, different, and unusual. You usually hear this when someone doesn't have the heart to tell another person they don't like their clothes or jewelry. If there is work in the bed, you would sleep on the floor, meaning you would avoid working at all costs. Waste of a face, indicating that you are good-looking, but your personality is lacking. All of these sayings came from my grandmother over the years. Story 23. Ones that I have used. You are such an unbelievable loser that even your mom knew to give you up for adoption and leave your birth certificate blank, said to a guy who was adopted. Your mom wishes she could sue the sperm that made you. I need you to give me 12 stamped envelopes addressed to your mother. I am going to personally mess in each one and send them to her so she will know what it's like dealing with you. You are the doctor-recommended cure for joy, said to my sister. I bet you have preheated a microwave. Story 24. I once heard these 2 8-year-olds arguing, and suddenly one of them screamed, "You are the reason toothpaste has instructions." Story 25. You are such a loser. If there was a contest for losers, you would be in second place. Why not first? Because you are a loser. Story 26. You are so mercifully free of the ravages of intelligence. Your conversational skills are rivaled only by the profound silence of a vacuum. The depth of your insight rivals a puddle, with neither the allure nor the potential for reflection. Story 27. Fatti prestare la faccia. It basically means your position is so unenviable you're better off being literally anyone else. Story 28. You malnourished individual, with your World War I facial hair and your sister's clothes. Stephen Toast. Story 29. You absolute fool. You are melting. I swear Eric is a thief. I wouldn't urinate on you if you were in a fire. Story 30. My personal favorites. I will beat you, but I would infect my hands. A look at your face could spoil ripe grapes. You are unfit for any place but hell. You lump of foul deformity. Your tongue outvenoms all the worms of the Nile. And finally, my ultimate favorite. Villain, I have done your mother. Story 31. I married your mother because I wanted children. Imagine my disappointment when you arrived. From the Marx Brothers film Horse Feathers. Story 32. My coworkers have all been doing what we do for a long time, or at least have been in similar industries with the same basic tasks. Anytime someone misses some basic but important detail or task, we will say, "It's okay. It's your first time." Story 33. I forget what book I read this in, but your brain lacks moisture seemed to be a really good 1800s era burn. Story 34. Your breath smells bad. Please brush your teeth first, then we can talk. I do not know how someone can recover from that. Story 35. Wisdom has long chased you, but you have always been faster. Story 36. I have never seen a grown man struggle so much with a closet door. It was targeted towards Andrew Tate, and it is so on the mark. Story 37. If I ordered a whole truckload of foolishness and you were all that showed up, I would still have received my money's worth. Story 38. My dad had an extraordinary story about one of his colleagues. I think he would have trouble with a knife and fork. Now that's an ordinary insult, except he was talking about a surgeon. The guy was dismissed or transferred. Story 39. Sorry, I forgot to lower my expectations enough. I see your head is purely for decoration, and delusions of adequacy are another pair of classics. Story 40, maybe the elevator scene in Mad Men. Ginsberg, a young copyright editor, tells Don, I feel bad for you. Don, cool and unbothered as ever, responds with the brutal and iconic line, I don't think about you at all. Story 41, please fly into the sun. Your mother was a hamster, and your father smelled of elderberries. May your day be as pleasant as you are. I hope you get a paper cut on your tongue. Story 42. I have said to many a pedant trying to suck the joy out of something, you need to make room in your heart for whimsy. Story 43. I've always liked Oxygen Thief. When someone does something incredibly stupid, I think natural selection needs to make a comeback. Story 44. That boy's cornbread isn't done in the middle. No one would ever accuse you of vanity with an outfit like that. You six-piece chicken nobody. Story 45. Use your head for something besides a hat rack. Said many times by my late grandfather. One of my favorite expressions I use is they are one lollipop short of a stick. Story 46. You are a fantastically hirsute, reprobate simian. Congratulations. Best when said with a smile and a high five to encourage agreement. Story 47. If you died tomorrow, the only thing I would regret is how long I spent with you. My amazing ex-boyfriend left me stunned. Story 48. Which do you think weighs heavier on your parents? The embarrassment or the disappointment that this is what they created while vaguely gesturing at the insultee? Story 49. Well, my days of not taking you seriously are certainly coming to a middle. Mal to Jane on Firefly after Jane tried to trade his very favorite gun for Mal's wife. Story 50. Comedian to a heckler who would not stop talking. If I rubbed Preparation H all over you, would you just disappear? Story 51. Once my friend said to someone, you look like someone that prefers their pillow to be hot on both sides. Story 52. There's no one like you since leather arse died. The things you see when you forget your gun. Grass never grows on a busy street, but you never see a baldy-headed donkey. You're as green as you are cabbage-looking. Story 53. My grandfather once said to a less intelligent individual, I came for a battle of wits, but I see you have come unprepared. Story 54. There's no one like you since leather arse died. The things you see when you forget your gun. You're living in a bungalow with no one upstairs. Grass never grows on a busy street, and you'll never see a bald-headed donkey. Face like a badger's rear end, bag of badgers. Face like chewing on nettles, slapped rear end. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.